Jessica with Rabbit's Pantry. So, if you didn't know, you now know I have fibromyalgia. Why all the energy? Because I'm on camera. So, but no, the reality is, I have fibromyalgia. I've had it for a really, really long time, right? Some of you have heard my story, some of you haven't. But it took years to get diagnosed, which is normal for people with fibromyalgia. But what some of the symptoms that there are so easily mixed up with other things. And this is what birthed Rabbit's Pantry, and also why we have so many different blends for fibromyalgia. So what happens with fibromyalgia after all of these studies that they have done on it is they understand that it's kind of a nerve disease, but kind of also not a nerve disease. So really they don't understand it. They just know it does fall in the autoimmune disease category. And everyone thinks it's just pain. Well, it's not just pain. So if you're experiencing pain, okay, that is a sign. Migraines are a sign. Actually, sensitivity to foods are a sign. Having like weird skin stuff, like not just normal eczema, which thankfully for makeup, you can't see mine. But that's another sign, like hives and things like that. There's so many different signs. But one of the telltales that have been ongoing for fibromyalgia, and that's why I got the pain label, is there's actual points on people with fibromyalgia that are painful. And if you touch it, it can spark a flare up just like that. It's great because it happens to be in places where you literally, if you're clumsy like me, bump into things and give yourself a heck of a day. It's great. But most people with fibromyalgia, because the pain has just gradually increased, you end up in this spot where you don't even realize how much pain you're in. So when I first got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I'd been going to the doctor for joint pain. I'd been going for inflammation, like crazy inflammation. I would just like my gums would get inflamed, right? Like my face, my hands, like whatever. And I was like, this is crazy. But it became really achy. Like my muscles hurt so bad. And these are all, again, signs of fibromyalgia. You can also start a fever around 2, 3 in the afternoon. It's the perfect time to have tea. Just say you're having tea. Go sit down in the afternoon and go drink some tea. Drink the Fibro tea, for gosh sakes, because the Fibro tea helps with migraines and fevers. Anyways, that is usually like clockwork for most people with fibro. And another thing, if you are completely exhausted, like you record some videos and then afterwards the only thing you can think about is how amazing your pillow is and why are you out of bed. So you go back to bed and sleep, because when you're sleeping you don't feel all the other stuff, right? So here's the deal. If you have like 3 or more of those symptoms, look into it. There's ways of getting tested. There's also really easy home remedies, because even if you get tested, it's going to take forever to figure out your magic secret sauce, because every one of us is uniquely different. And fibro did not change and make everyone the same. It's one of those diseases that represents itself differently for each person. So there's some broad things you can do, and then there's other things that will work for you and they won't work for others. So here is my gamut of what to do. If you have brain fog, which by the way is another sign of fibromyalgia, brain fog means your cognitive is just fuzzy and you have a really hard time getting through. We have a tea called Lost My Marbles. That's fantastic, and within days you will notice your fog lifting. Some of that fog comes from a migraine. So a really great herb for migraines is feverfew, and feverfew happens to be in our fibro tea. Turns out I have massive migraines and didn't even realize it. I got a headache right now, as a matter of fact. You can also drink Fibro Flare. So I'm just telling you the teas, but I'll get to the other things here in a minute. But I just don't want to miss the teas, because I know we've been doing it for years and they've made lives change. So Fibro Flare is another one that when you're in a flare-up and when you first start drinking these, I always recommend getting at least 1 jar of Fibro Flare and then 2 jars of Fibro and 1 jar of Lost My Marbles, because that kind of combination is good. But with the Fibro Flare, that's great for the flare-ups and it helps you get through those. The Tummy Tamer helps with the stomach, right? And then I think that's it. I just want to talk about those 4. But also a green light bulb, right? I've talked about this before, but it's been a while. Get a green light bulb. Put it in your nightstand. Or if it doesn't bother anyone, stick them all over the house. Green light is saturated through your eyes, and for whatever reason, they're still doing studies on it. But when it saturates through your eyes, it actually relieves pain. So when my husband tells me this, because we read, well, mainly he reads about fibromyalgia all the time, and then I just reread it when he says, look what I found. But he found this report on green lights, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I've heard all kinds of things fix and cure it. It doesn't. So whatever. But we did it, right? And this is how y'all get if you have it. So we did the green light bulb, and it worked. And that was like the first time something new had worked in a while. So I was pretty pleased with it. So go get yourself a $5 green light bulb, stick it in the lamp, see if it works. Big deal. You'd spend $5. Another thing that's really good for fibro, for the inflammation, is doing the copper compression. Like the gloves, they have full sleeves. Test the sleeves out first. They all shape differently. They have the knees and the feet, and they have the whole thing. Like you could get all coppered up, and I don't know why, but it works. So then another thing that is really good for fibromyalgia is vitamin D. Yes, our favorite vitamin. If you get it in a gummy, it actually tastes really good, and that's what I do. I don't really like the oil, but you can get it in an oil too. But let's see, what else? A heating blanket. You need a heating blanket. Yeah, if you don't have one, get one. Weighted blankets work really well for a lot of people too. But you definitely do have to get your butt out of bed. That's the hard part. And you can ask anyone with this disease, getting out of bed is the hardest part. Because before you open your eyes, you already know you got a migraine. And you already feel everything hurting, and you're literally gauging your capacity of being able to perform anything that day, and you're already making all of your drug and supplement cocktails in your head trying to figure out how you're going to get through the day. So when you get up in the morning, you have to force yourself to stretch. And I don't care if you stretch in bed, but you have to stretch. The reason you have to stretch is because with the way your body is operating, it's releasing constant toxins in your system because it's amped and in pain all the time. So your brain keeps telling it to, you're in pain, and it's releasing all this stuff. And your body's kind of in a freak out constantly. So if these toxins are getting stuck in your muscles, it actually is creating acidic issues in your body, and it's making things more painful. So when you stretch, it allows the oxygen to come back into your system and your blood to flow better. So take care of all of those things. I love you all with fibromyalgia. If you need to chat, get on our Tea group, find me on Snapchat, Facebook, whatever. Because I definitely want to be there for you. I hope you feel better. If someone else you know and love has these symptoms, maybe suggest this is what they have. Maybe give them some teas or some green light bulbs and see how that works. Thanks for listening. Bye.